The team of the American president is completely scrubbing Epstein's files of any mention of Donald Trump. But the day before, when the United States Department of Justice began releasing the first files after Congress required them to do so, it turned out that most of the files were simply sealed. But there was a slip-up, and the United States Department of Justice accidentally published a couple of photos where Donald Trump is pictured with Epstein and women in the frame. But a day later, at least 16 files published as part of the case of the late sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein mysteriously disappeared from the website of the United States Department of Justice. In particular, the photo with Donald Trump was removed from the web page in less than a day. The United States Department of Justice insists we all imagined it, keeping a straight face. And actually, there was no Donald Trump there at all, and none of the 16 files disappeared anywhere. Noticing something missing is just your imagination. Let's break it down. What did the United States Department of Justice reveal in the Epstein case? Where did Trump's files go? And why does this whole story seem like a circus? I'm Alexei Peachy. Let's discuss this topic in detail. But before we start this episode, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, write any detailed comment under this episode, and friends, also subscribe to my Telegram channel. Peachy News, the link to it is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. So December 19 was the deadline for the United States Department of Justice to start releasing the Epstein files. After all, that's what the United States Congress decided, and such an order was signed by Donald Trump himself. The first Epstein files have finally been posted on the Department of Justice website. Well, when I went to check what was there, I saw exactly what you're seeing on your screens. No, this isn't a joke, because most of the files are really just closed and classified. I mean, technically they're published, but you won't see anything in them. But something still showed up online. We'll continue, and a bit later we'll go over what new things we've learned about this scandal from the new files. But for now, I'll tell you about what has already shocked many people. The thing is, at least 16 files released as part of the Jeffrey Epstein case have unexpectedly disappeared from the website of the United States Department of Justice. In particular, the photo with Donald Trump was removed from the United States Department of Justice website in less than a day. The files were there Friday but gone by Saturday. They contained paintings depicting nude women as well as a photograph clearly showing Donald Trump, his wife Melania, Epstein himself, and his assistant Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me remind you, she recruited girls for Epstein and his clients and is now serving a 20-year prison sentence. It would seem, well, listen, after this, it's just silly to deny that the United States Department of Justice is blatantly covering for Donald Trump and deleting all files connected to him, even those that have already been online for years. This photo has been known for a long time, where Trump, Melania, Epstein, and Maxwell appear to be together in the end. The Department of Justice does not answer the question about the reasons for the disappearance of the files, but states that the quote, photos and other materials will continue and be edited in accordance with the law, with great caution as we receive additional information. That's all, and the missing files have also fueled new online speculation. This episode has heightened the anxiety that had already arisen after the long-awaited release of the document by the Ministry of Justice. And the tens of thousands of released pages did not provide much new insight into Epstein's crime or the prosecution's decisions that allowed him to get away with it. I emphasize, for years he avoided serious federal charges. At the same time, they skipped some of the most closely watched materials, including FBI interviews with victims and internal Justice Department memos regarding charging decisions. And let me remind you, the new materials in the Epstein case are being released according to the relevant law of the United States Congress, which requires this procedure. And Trump was initially against this law, but changed his mind when it became clear that American lawmakers would be able to pass this document anyway, and the president was no longer able to stop the vote. Remember though, Trump has a loyal Justice Department that can, if needed, remove any mention of him from the files. We saw this case the day after publication. Right now, it's extremely foolish to deny that the Justice Department isn't deleting any files related to Donald Trump at all. So what did we see in Epstein's new files? Let me note right away that you can see most of the photos on my Telegram channel, Peachy News, since the YouTube channel doesn't like such content. So I won't show all the photos here. If you want to see most of them, go to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link is in this video's description, so you can check it out there. If you look at the photos, you'll see about 120 pictures, mostly of boxes and some envelopes. Among the seized items, you can see dozens of hard drives, old CDs, and computers. That's what we see here. Mostly, the majority of the photos were related to Bill Clinton. A Department of Justice representative said this is very important. A representative of the United States Department of Justice stated that the person in the photo in the jacuzzi next to former President Clinton is a victim of sexual abuse by Jeff Epstein. This cannot be verified as the photo is not available, but the Republicans have already spread the statement saying that this is what Epstein's files were hiding. Clinton's team simply stated that Clinton cut ties with Epstein even before it became known that he was involved in these crimes. But Donald Trump remained friends with him even after Epstein's crimes became public knowledge. It's interesting to remember this. The Justice Department said the person next to Clinton in the photo is a sexual crime victim. Remember this, we'll return to it soon. Here's what's notable. A Justice Department official says a sexual crime victim is in the jacuzzi with Clinton. You will hear all of this on the same day. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche states, and I quote, extensive. The Department of Justice's thorough review of Epstein-related materials found no evidence to justify investigating 3 other unprosecuted individuals, including Clinton. Who should we trust? The Justice Department spokesperson or the Deputy Attorney General? The Justice Department claims there's a sexual crime victim near Clinton, and the Deputy Prosecutor says there is no evidence to open new criminal cases. Let's move on. The Justice Department's website has 119 more fully redacted pages, so why show them to us? Well, just to impress us with the number, 119 pages, just covered with black squares. There are also specifics, including a published 52-page document that's very interesting. This is the testimony of a woman who was recruited by Epstein. She claims that he asked the girls for their documents to make sure they were actually underage. In other words, he specifically double-checked to ensure they weren't 18 yet. Well, it was very important to him. The document also contains photos of various women, some of whom are wearing swimsuits. There are also women in revealing clothing, about whom the witness told investigators that they spent time with Epstein and may have been abused. Next, I'll quote from the document, and the witness in particular states, at some point he, that is Epstein, asked the girl for identification, wanting to make sure she was under 18. Because he didn't believe them. Since the recruiter made a mistake by bringing older girls, Epstein paid someone and told her to keep looking for girls. Epstein didn't want Hispanic or black girls. But there's also a breakthrough that's just shocking. Epstein's files finally contained information that Maria Farmer and her sister Annie had claimed for years that they filed one of the first lawsuits against Epstein back in the 1990s. The released FBI document contains a description of a criminal case against Epstein that was opened back in 1996 related to child pornography, but at that time the FBI did nothing. Although Annie Farmer stated that she was 16 years old when Epstein and his accomplice Ghislaine Maxwell abused her. There were 2 testimonies, one about child pornography and another about abusing a 16-year-old girl. And all of this could have ended back in 1996, but at that time, it was simply ignored. Among the thousands of documents declassified as part of the Epstein case, there is a photo of Michael Jackson's glove, with him standing next to Epstein. And let me remind you that in 2003, Jackson was charged with molesting a minor and using an intoxicating substance to commit a serious crime against a 12-year-old boy, but he was later found not guilty. But as I already mentioned, a lot of attention has been given to the Democrat Bill Clinton. Naturally, in the photo, he is with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and in another picture, Clinton is shown shirtless in a jacuzzi next to another person whose face is masked. There are other photos where Clinton is swimming in a pool with Maxwell, and in these pictures there is another woman swimming with Clinton and Maxwell, but her face is also masked. And yet, when it comes to Donald Trump, well, everything remained classified. Although a couple of photos did leak out, but as we already know, the United States Department of Justice quickly deleted them within a day. Friends, I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments under this episode, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you get notifications about new episodes. Friends, if you found this episode interesting and helpful, you can support our work with your donation or a paid sponsorship subscription using the links and details provided. The video description clearly states, support the Alexei Pecci channel. Choose any support format that is convenient for you. I'm grateful for any donations. That's all for now. Take care. Goodbye.